Okay, perfect then. Yeah. So tell me what's been happening. What's changed?
Oh, so I've had this like feeling, right? And I think we discussed this a little bit, whereas I wanted more time for myself and my energy. And what I noticed was what I came to realize was like the past few years of once I started my business, everything I did, like in regards to like my growth or my healing, whatever, it had this underlayer of like monetization behind it, right? Like I'm doing this so that I can guide and lead and do a good post and like all of this like work so that I can be a vessel for someone else, right? Versus just myself. And so this was like a huge epiphany I had. And so like I wanted to take a step back. Yeah. So I wanted to it was like, whoo, I wanted to take a step back from like the coaching thing just so I could do this for myself because I've yet to ever do that. Like the moment I got into like my real growth, it was always in the realm of coaching. I was already giving as I was healing. Like it was never just me. And so learning this, I realized like I felt this like need to just like, I just need to do things for me. Like I just need to do this for me. Like I don't need to monetize this anymore, whatever. So I took a step back from coaching and I started this platform, right? Which we discussed that last time. And I think that platform was really just my way of taking a step back from coaching, but still keeping my toe in a little bit because I was too afraid to pull all the ways back because there wasn't anything else for me to do besides that, because that's all I've ever done. And when we were in Pennsylvania, and so backstory also, I've always been very creative. I've always loved to make things. And I've always loved to like in high school, I did photography and like I did just all of these like creation things and scrapbooking and like just mixed medium things, just whatever. And I've been feeling this call to create again, like it with my hands. Like there's one thing, like, yes, what we do is creation on social media. I've been called to create with my hands again. And that feeling has been, in unison with this other feeling. I didn't really know what to do with that. And then we were in Pennsylvania and we saw all these booths and they were making, jewelry and, crystal bracelets and all these things. And Devin's like, why don't you make bracelets? We spent like $200 on bracelets and rings and like all this jewelry. And I'm like, yeah, like he saw it as like a money thing, right? Because that's how his brain works. And I'm like, but how would that work for me? And so like I kind of like sat with it for a few days and I'm like, holy shit. And I got my download, which came to me in the shower, which I saw your post the other day, which was hilarious because all of my downloads forever, I've never met anyone else who gets them in the shower the way I do. Like everything comes to me in the shower, always.
Shower
always.
download city.
And that's why
I love my showers for that reason.
Same. Yeah. Same. Like I have really long showers just for that reason, because I'm like just in there, like thinking and like pressing. But anyways, I came up with this idea. And so, yeah, now I'm starting a bracelet jewelry business, which the foundation of it, it's kind of intertwining the spiritual and personal development while me creating. So they're going to be crystals, but the way in which I put the crystals like pair them together, it's all going to be rooted from the 12 feminine archetypes, which is like the queen, the maiden, the warrior, the enchantress. So like all these archetypes that we as women and men, because we all have these feminine energies, right? We all have within us. But what I realized too is, which I'm sure you can attest to, it's not about what you want, it's who you are, right? And in regard to like getting anything that we want, we think that like if we just want it or we just do the right things, we're gonna attract it to us. But that's not the case. It's about who we are. So what these bracelets and like these, I'll eventually probably go into like rings and necklaces and whatever, like collections of each. But it's really stepping into this archetype, stepping into this identity, so then we can bring in more of what that identity is. And in that way, change our lives and also give ourselves permission to step into it. Because I think a lot of times also when we know that's not who we are, we have a really hard time doing those things that are associated with the things, But when we have this bracelet on, it's a reminder, this is who I am today. It is safe for me to be this person today. It's safe for me to step into this identity today. Like this is my alter ego or whatever, whatever you got to do. And yeah, that's pretty much, I know that was way longer than I meant to be, but that's pretty much what we're doing. What are your thoughts?
Oh my gosh. Hi, welcome to the podcast. The channel is open, dropping the bombs and the gems and all the goodness, like right off the bat. That was incredible. Literally chills listening to you. And I know that so many people can relate to this journey of evolution, of stepping more deeply into who we really are and how our creativity is calling us to trust the pivots and the evolution of our path. And what's so beautiful about that is, you know, everything that you've created up until this point is only serving what's next for you. The way that you're branching out, you're just adding to the bigger picture of this entire ecosystem that is you, that is your, in business terms, your brand, but truly it's just you and who you're being in this world. And so this is such a beautiful like reflection of trusting the path of evolution and realizing that what you're doing now is going to change, but can you trust that and keep moving with that? Because here you've built this beautiful platform already of people who are only going to be so excited for this jewelry now that you're making. It's all serving the bigger vision and you trusting yourself. And that is so, so, so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited for this. And I can't wait for the drop. Like, sign me up. I would like a ring.
I know. I already have like
some blessed jewelry to bring out my queen archetype. Like, this is incredible. This is incredible.
Yes. That's exactly like, and that's what I think is perfect about it too, is like, it can, these qualities that we already have, it can either amplify them and like make, like allow us to embody them more. Or if we don't see ourselves as that kind of archetype, right? We wear it and we give ourselves permission to be that archetype today, to step into it. Like if you're someone who's very quiet and reserved, put on your queen bracelet and like give yourself permission to like really embrace and embody that. I remember like when I started this business, when I started, like, cause it all started after I burnt down my fitness and nutrition coaching, I wanted to go more into the mindset stuff. Right. I bought a necklace from Target and had like a little sun on it. And I wore that necklace every single day as I was stepping into this new version. And that was like another little thing that I like, that kind of, this is like, we sometimes just need these reminders, like these little, like, whether they be physical or whatever, because it's like a physical, but it's also an energetic and spiritual reminder of like, this is who I am today. And this is who I'm allowed to embody today, and thank you. Thank you for that, because that's really how I felt too. I'm like, this all just kind of led up to this.
Yeah. And then it's only once you get there that you look back and see how all of the pieces align and all of the dots were connecting along the way. What's the archetype that you're really feeling right now that you yourself are stepping into or focusing your energy on right now? What is that archetype?
I think it's really the Enchantress, is really just connecting with universe and just trusting and just like really just like that mysticism, just like the magic, just creating from the divine plan, like tuning into myself, tuning into the universe and just really moving with that. And I think that's probably the biggest, I don't want to say lesson, because that's not the right word, but when I look back, that's what I've been doing these past 6 months. Like that's what I've been doing, is I've just been listening and I've been following my excitement and I've been trusting my excitement. And I think naturally we can look back, like, when we're in things, like we start something new, right? I think a lot of people have this like attachment to it of like, I need to make this work. I need to make this work. I need to make this work. Because if I don't make this work, what does that say about me? I'm a failure of this. And thankfully, I've always been the type that's been able just to start over, just like fucking scrap it, burn it to the ground and just like start again. And I know last time we spoke, I had this other platform that I was creating. I was planning on promoting that today. And I'm like, actually, that's not me anymore. I'm scrapping it. Like I'm going full force with this other thing because I literally am ripping at the seams with excitement with this. I'm like, that can't be for no reason. Like I have to trust that. Like I have to lean into this and I'm going to lean into this. And if this isn't it, then it's leading to the next thing, like like you said, like we all can look back and see all the proof that we have that everything that we've done has led us here, you know? And
And
so that's really what I'm.
ooh, the enchantress. Oh, that's so beautiful. And the ability to be able to just scrap it and start over and trust in the plan. It's funny. It's usually the thing that's not logical when you're really listening to that divine plan. And I wanted to ask you, like, how do you start to do that? So you started to touch on that process of listening, being, honest with yourself. Like, what is your heart? What is your body really telling you? And following your excitement. So there's a process there, and I want to dive deeper into that. But so often it's not the logical thing when you're really learning to trust the divine plan. So when your mind and your ego is like, are you crazy? You can't do that. Like, you've built this, you have momentum here. But your heart is telling you something else. And there's kind of that crossroads that's happening. If there's somebody that's listening to this right now and they're really feeling that, since it seems like you're really like embodied in that right now, what are some like steps that you would give them? And I know it's not a step-by-step process. It's going to be different for everybody, but what is something that you would tell them if they're in that same space?
I think the very first thing I would say is give yourself permission to entertain that this idea could actually be possible. Because I think it's very quick for us just to shut it down. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And we come up with all these, like you said, these logical reasons as to why it shouldn't make sense. Like for me, with this, I just started this new platform. I've been promoting it for months. I've already spent hours and hours and hours creating all the things for it. What sense does it make for me to like leave that behind? But I gave myself, okay, like, let's just pause that for a second. What would it feel like just to lean into this? And I just like burst at the seams, like a sunbeam just like radiating from my heart. Like, I'm just like, this is it. Like, this just feels so good and so magical and so divinely, put here. And so I think when we just first give ourselves permission, we then can we get all the breadcrumbs on how to make it happen, start to drop in. But the first thing we have to do is give ourselves permission to even entertain that the idea is possible. Because I could have easily just shut it down, but as soon as I just gave myself permission, I've been like, I have so many ideas. Like, they're just like flowing in and flowing in and flowing in. And, but a lot of times we just shut it down. So just what if this is possible? What can we do?
Oh, that's so powerful. Was there something about what you created? Is there something you're taking away from that? Now that you're kind of shifting away from it, can you look back and see like, oh, that's why I needed to create this?
I think honestly that last almost, I want to say hoorah for all this time and this energy that I've put into my coaching. Like, I thought that was going to be it for me. Like, I thought that this is what I meant to do it. And I do think for that season of my life, it is exactly what I was meant to do. But I think that at the time I thought it was meant just to serve people. But I think reflecting back on it, it was so that I could dive deeper into me all along. And yes, I helped a lot of people along the way, and I'm so glad and grateful that I did. But I think the end game of it all was just for me to learn about me. And so I think that this platform was just that final step of, okay, this is like almost, I don't want to say last ditch effort, but like this final chapter closing, like, this is how I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it in this way. And now I will complete with that because I walked the path, And thank you for that question, because I asked myself that question. I couldn't figure out what it was until you just asked me that question.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. It just feels so complete. And you just expressing it in that way. And now you get to move on to the next thing. And you saying like, I really just needed to learn about myself and learn more about what was calling me, or what, if you put into a few words what you did learn about yourself in that process.
Oh.
And I know
I love how you said if you can.
Question, But just like when I ask that, like, yeah, what comes to mind for you?
I think just coming back home to who I really am, right? Like I've lived under this facade for so many years, this tough girl facade.
Mm.
And she was created to protect me.
Mhm.
And all along, I've been this highly empathetic and emotional and soft and gushy and just like this very like soft human who can call on her tough girl facade whenever she needs. Okay. She's there.
That dark feminine is
I'm not,
ready. She is ready.
she's call on her and she'll be ready to go. But that's not who I lead with anymore. And I don't need to, put on this facade anymore because who I am, like I'm accepting of her now. Like I love that side of me. My husband even says like who I am when he first met me versus who I am now, they're two completely different women. Completely different.
Wow.
And I think that if anything, this journey just showed me like who I'm actually am and who I'm meant to be on this in this world. Because I think had I not gone through this, bringing children into this, onto this planet and under that facade, I would have done them no good. They
Mm.
needed this side of me, like my future children need this like me. And I'm very, very grateful that we didn't have children yet. Well, we're trying, but like I'm grateful that,
Oh,
the universe allowed me to process this for myself first before I brought anyone else into this world.
oh, so beautiful. I think we all develop these masks. Mine was the nice girl. Mine is the nice girl,
Ooh.
too nice, and then you know, people pleaser, overly nice, didn't want to step on anyone's toes, avoiding conflict, not wanting to
Mm.
say the wrong thing, um, because there was just and meanwhile there was this like just power and fierceness and like I don't care what you think, I'm going to live my truth, like this deep power within that was always there. And there's so many things that she wanted to do in this world and things that she wanted to say and to create and to build, but she felt like she needed to ask the world for permission to do that.
Mm.
And my journey was really like the nice girl. That was my mask. And it's still very much a part of me. Like I am deeply empathetic. I'm highly sensitive. Like I can feel, I use that for good. I use that to make people feel comfortable. But now I have a lot of I have boundaries around that and making sure that I'm not um compromising who I am and what I'm called to do. But um you mentioned like others, your husband seeing you as totally different, right? This different woman. And I think that a lot of times in the space of transformation, people can hear different and almost be like scared, um, because we have this deep human need to want to be like accepted and to just like for people to just like us and to be a part. And so it can be scary when we are allow ourselves to be different, the people around us then feel we don't want to make them uncomfortable or we don't want to go through that whole process. But it's so beautiful because yes, I feel that too. Like I'm also different. And it's not necessarily that I'm this person I've never been or I'm like I've changed or whatever the thing is. It's I've like you in your words, you've come home to yourself. It actually feels more authentic than ever. So the more that you do like this transformation work, it's not that you're necessarily changing, you're becoming more of who you've always been. And so the people around you who may not understand that or be like, oh, you're always changing or think that it's inauthentic is their own fear of being authentic with who they are. And they, I don't know, they have their own journey. I'm not gonna put words onto somebody else's journey, but oftentimes when you're changing, you're actually becoming more of who you are. And so to hear you say like what you've learned is how to come home to yourself, that's kind of been my experience. And that's how I've seen it. It's like, yes, I want to change. I want people around me to be like, you were totally different than you were a year ago, 6 months ago, last month. Like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to come along on this journey? Would you like to be a part of
Right.
this? Like, and like, please come with, or if not, I love you from afar, but I'm going to keep evolving and being more of who I am because it's already in here and it's whispering to me every single day. So just really
I love that.
in that journey as well.
Y- Yes. And have you noticed how, like, as you continue to come home to yourself and feel safe to be, because I think that's another thing too, is just feeling safe in this version of ourselves, like this, like true, authentic version of ourselves. Because again, our core needs, like we put on those facades to be accepted and to be loved. They may have been different on the outside, but on the inside, we wanted the same exact thing. We just wanted to be accepted and to be loved. And so have you noticed as you step more into it, like, so for me, for example, for my husband, I have never felt more loved from him because he's actually loving who I really am now and not a facade. Have you noticed just your ability to receive love has like deepened?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My friendships have deepened, my
Mm-hmm.
partnership as well. Yeah. And I know that just thinking of that journey of like learning how to receive love, was, I remember so often I had a coach when I first started my business. You know, when you first start like sharing yourself online, for me personally, it brings up all of the places in which you don't love yourself, right? Or you fear those
Mm-hmm.
judgments, or you fear the other ways that you're going to be perceived. And I had a mentor tell me like, you know, you're getting some like really beautiful feedback. Why can't you, like, not questioning why I can't, she could see why I couldn't, but like notice how you're unable to even receive like a simple, like a testimonial. Like I didn't even want to get testimonials because I couldn't fully receive like, oh, well, like that's not me. Or deep down it's not safe to be loved, because if I'm loved, then I will be called to share my voice in a bigger way. I'll be called to be more of who I am. I'll be called to do things that version of me that was trying to keep me safe did not want me to do. And so my process with
Mm-hmm.
like receiving love was like when I would get a compliment, even from somebody on the street that was like, oh, I like your shirt, you know, or um, taking a moment and just, thank you, like energetically receiving
Mm-hmm.
it, not tensing up. And little by little by little, yeah, it got a lot easier to receive love, and simultaneously doing the work to um, just feel when I'm closing, where am I closing, and how can I be with myself and not need, even not need a friend to tell me that they love me, but or my
Mm-hmm.
partner to validate me. That was a big one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, not needing my partner to
Same.
validate me, but
Mm-hmm.
being present with that contraction in my body and
Mm-hmm.
realizing like, okay, I'm safe here. I'm safe here. I'm safe here. So yeah, the journey to receiving love, it's been a big one for me. So yeah, thank you for asking. But yeah, it's the safer I've felt in myself, and the safer I felt in myself is the safer I've is allowed me to trust myself more. It's allowed me to trust those little pings of, hey, go here, do this. It's allowed me to dream bigger. It's allowed me to take bigger action. It's allowed me to be a better friend, a better partner. Like just the ripple effect of it is just infinite. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a hard journey, but it's a worthy one, that's for sure.
I
Thank
couldn't agree more. Yeah, of course, of course. And I think it's just so interesting how our subconscious like plays that game with us, right? Like you're not allowed to receive love. So I'm gonna make you small. I'm gonna make you small. I'm gonna hold you back from getting testimonials, right? Like you probably had when you were doing that, you probably had these reasons, like these logical reasons, like, oh, I probably didn't do this or whatever, like I don't need it, or but that was really just a subconscious sneaking in, and saying, like, I'm not ready to receive love, like you're not worthy of this. Like, and it's just so interesting how it just really can run the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You had this post. So you have an absolutely amazing, you create beautiful, amazing content. You all have to link. I will definitely link
Thank
all of your
you.
stuff in the show notes here so people can go check you out and absorb your beautiful light. And I saw one of your posts recently where you said that you made a decision a year ago in your business that changed everything. And you know, we started this call with, okay, I've made a decision again. There's another shift that I'm making, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious what I want you to tell us what that decision was, because it seems like it was kind of the catalyst for everything that's happening for you now. And I feel that a lot of people who do listen to this podcast specifically can really resonate. So what was that decision that you made a year ago?
So before I get into that, I want to say how I was before I made that decision. So, which is how the majority of the planet works. We make logical decisions. We do things that make sense. I'm going to go to school for this. It makes good money and it's a good job and it's, whatever, everything, it all has to make sense on paper. And that's how I always lived too. And so I started this coaching business in nutrition and fitness, like I mentioned before, because it made sense. I've always been into weightlifting. I've always been into my nutrition. I, know how to do macros. I'm like, okay, I'll do this and I'll make extra money, blah, blah, blah. And because I was also a firefighter at the time. So I was like, I had all this time off so I could, run a business at the same time. It just made so much sense. And then a year into it, and I was doing really well. Like I was, on track to like 6 figures and it was going, it was flowing. But I realized how much resistance I had to doing it. I hated it. Like I didn't stand for what a lot of other coaches stood for. Like I realized I really thrived with everyone who is experiencing more life struggle than weight struggle. Like I really love diving into like really getting to know them. Like I think the thing that really set it off was one time I was on this coaching call with a bunch of other coaches and they were saying how they give like 5 to 10 minute check-ins. I'm like, I can't do that. Like I have to sit on the phone with them. Like I have to know what's going on. Like I have to get deeper. And that's what I realized. I realized that I'm just someone that craves something deeper with my people. Like I'm not a surface level coach. And that was really scary for me because at that point I hadn't seen that anywhere. Like I hadn't all I saw was fitness coaches who were doing the macro thing. Like I didn't see anything else. I'm like, how am I supposed to make money? Logically, it's going like, how am I supposed to make money helping people in a deeper way? Like I'm not a therapist, like, because then my mind goes to that. Like I'm not qualified to hold people in this way. And so that post was my decision to completely step away from nutrition and fitness coaching and just lean into holding people in a deeper way. I didn't know what to call myself. I didn't know, like to this day, like I was a million different things. I was a life coach. I was a manifestation coach. I was an embodiment coach. I was an energy coach. Like I was a zillion things to a zillion different people, depending on what they needed me for. But it didn't make fucking sense, like for me to do that. But it was the best thing I could have done because it allowed me to really get to know all these different versions of myself and get to know my level in which I can hold people. And in that, I just grew myself more, like, like working with all these different kinds of people because I had so many people at one time going through different things. And so what that decision was, I guess, to get back to your question, because I'll go trailing off, was I decided just to step into this coaching with no name thing, like just the deeper work, the inner work. And it was a really scary decision.
And that's a big pivot that allowed big, but not so big because you're still supporting people and you're still sharing your work. You're doing what you love. You're working for yourself. But that decision to make that change really allowed you to I see it as a catalyst to your coming home process, right? And so you
100%.
making that quote unquote big shift in your business allowed you to realize that even if it is a big shift, what happened. The other side of that is now here you are just expressing that what you've learned about yourself in this entire process is how to come home to who you really are. So it's almost as if you've been developing this muscle for listening to those subtle things, to listening to those changes. And now when the idea comes to bring jewelry into the business, it's like there's no resistance there anymore, because you've made these big shifts that have led you closer to who you really are. And so hearing like the call to add this to the business, or add this to, or let go of monetization, it's like easy. There's no resistance there. Because it's
and I
done it before, and you know
sorry,
what's
go
on
ahead.
the side of that. No, go ahead.
No, for sure. Thank you for highlighting that, because it's so true, because now I'm so in tune when something isn't energetically aligned. Like I can spot it in a second. Like there's no, like when my husband said, "Oh, you can make money from this," I'm like, that's not my purpose here, just to make money. Like that's not how I operate. Like it was a hard stop, but I'm like, let me entertain, like, how could this be for me? And then it was just like, boom, boom, boom. Like this is it. And I think that's a big help for me, because I can reflect back to that, my nutrition and fitness days of, I felt resistance to everything. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do this. And at that time, I thought that was normal, because we're raised to believe that hard work is doing things that you don't want to do. Right. So I just powered through and I grinded through, because again, I come from a life, like I was always grinding. I was always hustling. Like that was like my mentality. Like that was how I thought that was all normal and all okay, but that's intuition, baby. If anyone's listening to this, like if you have all this resistance, like understand that that could be just an energetic sign that that's not for you. Like you're hitting speed bump after speed bump after speed bump after speed bump. There's a difference between like hitting speed bumps and understanding that that's just like a part of the journey, and hitting speed bumps after speed bumps and you just feeling like you're getting knocked down 20 flights of stairs every time. Like there's a different energy when something isn't aligned and you're just hitting like something to move through, versus you're hitting blocks and you're just like, feel like you're just at the end of the rope every single day.
How do you know? How do you, so there's the feeling, right? And it's hard to put into words the feeling of, okay, this is just a part of the path. Like I know I'm on path. This is a part of it. And then this isn't for me. And there's some things that are coming up for me when I think about the difference between the two. But in your experience, how do you know it's like, okay, this is just one of the road bumps that's on the path, or this is a fear that I'm having to meet and that it makes sense, versus I need to really step back and reassess? How do you know the difference?
That's a really good question. And honestly, for me, I think it was just learning my body's language. And I think for everybody, it's going to be a little different. But I think once you start learning yourself and trying different things and really getting in tune with your intuition, you will start to feel the difference. Like when I hit a speed bump with this, for example, like yesterday, it took me like 5 hours to make a single bracelet because I just kept like, fucking up. And I'm like, but I still feel expanded to do this. Like I still feel very excited to do this. Even though this is a little hard right now, I still feel like this connection to it. When we are doing something we're not meant to do, it's like roadblock. Oh my God, this sucks. Oh my gosh, this sucks. Oh, like this, just this, like, it's just this energy. It's this energy, like depletion, right? Like I didn't feel depleted when I was hitting these roadblocks, right? With the others, you just feel just sucked dry of everything. And I think that actually answers it.
That is spot on. That is, the word depletion. Do I feel depleted from this thing that I'm trying to do? And a lot of times it's our body is addicted to that cycle of depletion, of burnout, of doing things that aren't in alignment with us, that it almost feels normal and it's hard to tell the difference. But it's like when you're on the right path, that intrinsic motivation, it's almost like there's a part of you that's, fearful and resistant. But when you allow yourself to, when you feel like you're on the right path, it's almost like another part of you is like guiding you, leading you, holding your hand into the fear, into the bigger action, into the commitment and the discipline that it takes. And to bring up the word like discipline, there's still that like intrinsic motivation, that inner pull to be committed to the thing and to be disciplined. And so a lot of times we can be hard on ourselves if we're not disciplined, or we're not committed, or we feel like we're being lazy, or we think something's wrong with us because we never have the energy to do the thing. It's like, hello, alarm bells. Like that's your sign. That's your sign right there, because there's a difference between hard work in doing something that you're truly called to do, and hard work in trying to fit a box that you were never meant to be in the first place. So,
Oh, Hannah, this is like one of my favorite topics ever. Like so many goosebumps. Like you totally nailed that, because it's so, so true. And like, we're just taught, because our parents come from the generation of production, right? Like you put your head down, you get to work, you know, like you discipline, willpower, like all of these things. And it built such a tricky relationship with me and discipline for a while. And now I can see that there is such a difference between like the way in which you move when you're in alignment versus the way in which you move when something's just totally misaligned. It's completely different. Like I sat there making bracelets for like 9 hours yesterday and it was no big deal. Like it just felt like it was fine. But tell me to like go and do like a bunch of like macros and stuff like for 9 hours, absolutely not. Like I'd be running and pacing in circles, like losing my mind having to do that. Like it's not in alignment with me. When things are in alignment, they flow. Like yes, it takes hard work, but it's a different energy, completely different energy. And people mistake discipline, and they mistake, like they think that they lack discipline or willpower or whatever, and they don't realize that they're actually just in misalignment. You know.
This is also one of my favorite topics. So beautifully said. So beautifully said. You can call this the divine path, which is so beautiful. You so beautifully expressed. In intelligence, there's a higher intelligence. However you want to experience it, however you want to describe it, but there is this intelligence that is pulling us in different directions. That is bringing us closer to a life that feels nourishing. It's not void of struggle or resistance, or it's the hero's journey, if you will. There will be obstacles, there will be hard work, but it's like there's this beautiful divine intelligence that is always pulling us to greater fulfillment and richness in this experience, that allows us to be more present with our time here. Presence is another one of my favorite words, like such a code. Presence is such a code. Everything is in this present moment. You don't need to figure out the future. You don't even need to overanalyze the past. Like it's all right here. That is just constantly moving us and guiding us. So this is absolutely one of my favorite conversations. And to take it, there's another like part of this journey too that I've realized. In being an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. I've been in marketing forever, and just realizing that even when something is in alignment for you, that some things are meant to last a really long time and some things are not. And even something that is in alignment for you, that you're like, no, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right path. There will be a time when it's time to evolve out of that as well. And that's where it can get really like tricky. And that's where it's almost the more that you develop this trust with your inner voice, with yourself, the more safe that you feel, as you said, safe with yourself, at home in yourself, the more subtle these little shifts become, and the more like refined your path becomes. It's like, okay, yeah, like this did feel in alignment, but there's actually something that's even more in alignment than this. And it just gets even better and better and better and better and better. Something that one of my favorite mantras is, the better it gets, the better it gets. Better it gets.
I love that. Yes.
So you may be in a place where you're like, I am totally not in alignment right now. And okay, I'm feeling like, okay, it's time to really make some big changes. Or you could be in a place where you're like, I mean, yeah, I'm comfortable. This feels good. Like, yeah, this was definitely in alignment. But I think there's a deeper fulfillment. I think there's greater growth available to me. And that also takes a lot of bravery to listen to that and really hear that call as well. Because the better it gets, the better it gets. Like this is divine intelligence, baby.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, like looking back, like everything that I was in alignment at that time. So I think it's also just feeling safe to sometimes just move forward anyways, like when you're feeling something else. And I think that people a lot of times, and tell me if you agree, like they wait to like that big thing or like that big sign to like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Right. But it's alignment can just be very, very subtle, right? It can just be like choosing to go to a pottery class. That actually feels very exciting to me. And I'm going to do that. You never know where that's going to lead you. You're going to meet someone and this and that, right? Like we're waiting for like this big move sometimes, like, cause we hear stories like this, right? Like, oh, I changed my life in this one decision, but like, it's not always that big. Like sometimes it's just listening to the excitement. And that's my cue for myself. It's just excitement. Like what's lighting me up? Like what's really, really getting me going and getting me moving today? And it doesn't have to be a big change of career. It can be just be going to a dance class. Like it can be like these little tiny breadcrumbs that the universe is leaving you, but you don't want to listen because it's not big enough or it's maybe too big or, whatever. And so it's just
yeah.
illogical. What are
Yeah.
people going to think? Like, this isn't me, like whatever. And it's just, yeah, I think that's really the conversation of this whole podcast is like listening, like just listening. The universe speaks in whispers. It's not always loud and in your face. It's sometimes, I think everybody has this little seed inside of them, like this little nudge, like this little like thought or whatever about what they want to do. Like not just with their life, but just like what they want to do. Like, I want to do this. Like, this is like, I'm really interested in this and blah, 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 blah. But we're like, we shut it down. Mm-hmm. And so like anyone listening, like if you have a little nudge to do something, just go do it. Like you never know where it's going to lead.
Just follow the nudges, follow the breadcrumbs. Yes, without attachment to why or how or if or when, and just listening and whether it's big or it's small. Oh my God, this has been such a beautiful conversation. I feel like we've come like full circle in this conversation. So with this beautiful wisdom that you've dropped, is there anything else that's on your heart or anything else that you think this conversation deserves that you want to share with the audience or that one person that's listening that's like, I needed to hear this today?
Yeah, I think it's really like what I just shared, which is you have a nudge, like every single person. Like I just can't believe that nobody has a nudge to do anything, right? Like, cause I think there are people that are like, I don't know what to do with my life. And that's fair. I'm 31 and I've made the 25th career choice of my life already. Right. Like that's okay. Like that's fine. Like you don't have to know what you want to do with your life. But like I said, even if it's just like a small nudge to go try something new, right? Like just go on a date by yourself, like go, like you're feeling these little nudges, go on a vacation, whatever. Like everybody has this little nudge living inside of them. And so my invitation is for you to listen to it. I don't care how small it is, like how silly it may seem, or whatever fear is or story you've attached to it. Like just listen to that little nudge and see what happens. Like see what's on the other side of that. Like that was planted within you for a reason. So that's my message.
Oh, so good. So good. You embody this message so beautifully. So if you guys want to check her out, where can we find you to get all of in that energy so we can remember who we are?
So when does it, sorry, go, when is this podcast coming out? Because I might have a new social media created for my stuff by the time this comes out. When are you planning on this coming out?
Okay. So here's what I'll do. I can update the description at any time. So when this new account comes out, give it to me and we will throw it in there. It's probably going to be within the next week or two. That is going to be out.
Okay. So I won't be good to go then. So then we'll just have to do a little update. So in the meantime, people, I'm Gabby Karvoksi on TikTok and Gabby Karvoski on IG.
Amazing. I'll link you.
And follow me. Yes. Yes.
Gabby, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Of course. This was like, I cannot believe it's already been an hour.
I know.
I can like talk to you about these things for so long. Like, this is so beautiful. I love this.
That's the flow, baby. Present moment.
We didn't even mention how we met. Can I just say that I slid into your DMs? Everybody, I just want to know.
Thank goodness. Why? Why did you slide into my DMs? By the way, I don't know if we established this. I'm also 31. Did you know that?
Shut up. I did not know that. Wait, when is your birthday?
November 8th.
Oh my goodness. And you're a Scorpio.
Scorpio. Yeah.
That's why this makes sense. Both my best friends are Scorpios. I downloaded this free guide for human design, and Hannah's testimonial was in there. And I saw that she was a 2-4 reflector like myself. And I was like, I cannot believe that she is as well. And I found her on Instagram and I liked her stuff. So I messaged her.
Yeah, so glad that you did. It was instant
connection. Wait, 2-4 or 4-6?
4-6. I was going to say we're
4-6.
4-6. Yeah.
Close. Something felt wrong. I knew it was even numbers.
Yeah. 4-6 reflector with a unique energy. And right off the bat, I was like, do you experience this? Like, do you feel this as a reflector? What about 4-6? And it was just like, yep, check. So I'm so glad that you followed